All right. So, this presentation is a condensed, comprehensive look at what we actually do on an investigation. We investigate private homes for clients who are looking for validation or answers as to what's happening in their home or to them personally. We also investigate historic sites when possible. The historic sites gives us an opportunity to test out theories and new investigating techniques. So we really just really enjoy the historic part of investigating. So some of the things we're going to go over today are ghosts in science, client intake, how we get clients, procedures, protocols, and techniques, equipment, EVPs, which you're going to love, instrumental trans communication with spirit boxes, and different types of hauntings. So this is our team. We have 10 team members, and that seems like a lot, but not everyone can go to every investigation. So we like to make sure we have enough to cover an investigation when we have one. Our team members come from very different, diverse backgrounds. And if you want to see their bios, you can go to our website, GeorgiaParanormalInvestigations.net, and see everyone's background. And when you become a team member, you go through a extensive training program. I name it Paranormal Boot Camp. So the new members come to my house and we spend a day going over equipment, how to unpack equipment, how it works, how to repack equipment. And then there's a lot of other things that they have to learn as well. So by the time they go to an investigation, they're not insecure and they know what's going on. So if someone's looking for a paranormal investigation team, they can go to our website, and the first thing they're going to see is our mission statement. That shows everyone exactly what we do and what we have to offer. It's pretty direct and simple, and I'm going to play that for you right now.
Our goal at Georgia Paranormal Investigations, GPI, is to demystify the supernatural and reduce fear of the unexplained. We conduct investigations in private homes and businesses that report having what appears to be paranormal activity. We understand that unexplained phenomena generally associated with ghosts and hauntings can cause stress, discomfort, and fear. Using scientific methods and various equipment, we attempt to document and identify the causes of the activity, including any possible physical and/or self-explanatory causes, such as high electromagnetic fields or any other possible legitimate explanations to separate the explainable from the unexplainable. GPI uses the highest quality and most efficient equipment possible. We pride ourselves in offering the highest standard of knowledge and assistance to those who are searching for answers. Our goal at
So that lets everyone know exactly who we are and what we do. So let's talk about what is the definition of paranormal. You hear that word, but what does it actually mean? Purported phenomena beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding, impossible to explain by known natural forces or by science. It just means we cannot figure it out by any means that we are aware of. So we're approached a lot by people who think what we do is so fun and glamorous, and they want to get into the paranormal field. So the first question I always ask them, what is your goal? Do you want to be a ghost hunter or do you want to be a paranormal investigator? Because they're two very different things, and one of them requires a lot of dedication. So a ghost hunter is someone that likes to hunt ghosts for fun. They are usually in it for the adventure, thrill, excitement, or for personal reasons. They just want to show up to a fun location. There are plenty of places that you can pay to go and investigate that are known to be haunted. So they just like to go in, spend some time, get spooked and scared, and then leave. But what a paranormal investigator does goes way beyond hunting for ghosts. We do research, interviews, collect a ton of data, documentation, a ton of paperwork, conduct experiments, and are working with clients to help resolve a problem, which means staying connected and doing follow up with the clients and then presenting them with reports and any possible evidence collected. Now, one thing we do not do is we do not promise to remove ghosts. So, what is a ghost? You hear the term, but what do we consider to be a ghost? The soul or spirit of a deceased person or animal which appears or makes its presence known to the living, believed to be earthbound, not to have crossed over. Now, earthbound is a very common term that people in the paranormal world use, but I prefer not to use that. I just put it in this presentation because we give it to libraries and different other groups, and that's the term that they're more aware of. But we know spirits have free will, and they're not bound here. They may be oppressed and not know that they're able to leave, but they're not bound to this earth. And crossed over, as we know, means, go to the light. Now, these are some fun statistics. A survey in 2021 found that 36% of respondents from the United States say they believed in ghosts. I mean, that's quite high, I think, which is great. Women are more likely to believe in ghosts, but men are more generally they would believe in a UFO more than ghosts. I don't know if that's true. I think they're just afraid to admit that they believe in ghosts. Are ghosts real? Now here we get with the science and the technical part. Current science can't prove that spirits walk among us yet. Maybe the technology has not been invented yet to prove they exist. Paranormal studies fall under the category of pseudoscience that consist of statements, beliefs, or practices that claim to be both scientific and factual, but are incompatible with the scientific method, which has to be recreatable, traceable, that anyone could take the same formula, so to speak, and create a ghost. That's just not possible. So, why? Science has not yet proven the survival and continuation of the human consciousness, our soul or spirit, after bodily death. Now, we all know, or as mediums know, that they do exist, but science hasn't proven that they exist. So, therefore, it's not a real science. Now, parapsychology is the study of things like psychic phenomena, extrasensory perception, telepathy, psychometry, psychokinesis, but yet it's still considered by most mainstream scientists as a pseudoscience, because nothing's provable, even though there can be a ton of evidence. So we usually encounter these three types of people in the paranormal world, and ask yourselves, do you believe in ghosts? The believers, yes, absolutely believe. They don't need to see any evidence, that they just totally believe. Then we come across the skeptics that will objectively review the data before forming a conclusion. And then we have the non believers, refuse to believe even when presented with the data and evidence. Now, I've come across a lot of people who label themselves as skeptics, but no matter what evidence, videos, audio that you put in front of them, they're just not going to believe it. And they're going to argue with you and say that there's always some other explanation. So when someone says they're a skeptic, I'm a little weary of that, because some of them have already made up their minds. So if someone's needing a paranormal investigation, they're going to go to our website. And on our website, we have a very extensive, detailed questionnaire that they fill out. And we get really personal with some of the questions. Now, we know we have a privacy policy that's stated on our website. We don't share any of this information. But we ask things as detailed as any medications that the clients are on, or anyone in the house that's on. Is anyone going through any type of therapy, or any divorces going on? We need to know all the pieces of the puzzle, because what's going on in someone's home, the energy they're creating, can have an impact on what's actually happening in the house. So we need to know those things. So once the questionnaire is sent to us through our email, it goes directly to our email address. It's assigned a case manager, and then the case manager will contact the client, usually by phone, and schedule a Zoom interview with the client. And there we will ask clients for possible dates for an investigation. And as many teammates as can join in on the interview, we try to get as many so we can have people's different thoughts about the situation. So once it's scheduled, we send the client permission to investigate and liability forms. These are very, very important. If a client contacts us in a rental property, if they cannot get the title holder or the property owner who has the deed permission to investigate, we cannot investigate a rental property. For legal reasons, let's say we go to a rental property, the landlord is unaware, and we actually do find some serious evidence, and the word gets out that the location is haunted. And then when he tries to re-rent the property at a later time, and the folklore is out that that house is haunted and he can't rent it, then we've diminished the value of the property and could get in trouble. So unless you own the property or get permission from the owner, we can't investigate. But once we do get permission, we start diving into researching the clients. We start looking them up on Facebook, Google. We're looking for past property owners, obituaries. We start digging. We need every available piece of information for this puzzle to be put together. So we schedule the investigation, announce it to the team, and then the chain of command is the team leader and the case manager will assign duties for the investigation, like who's going to take baseline readings at the location, who's going to research the geological data, who's going to look up the astrological data. So everyone has a duty and they know what they want to do. So we really dig deep into the research. There's some on the team that love and are so good at research, which is great because I really don't like to do that. So I'm glad we have people that love to do it. Now, the week of the investigation, we'll confirm with the client. We'll get parking details to make sure there's enough parking. And if there's not, we will try to carpool and be in less cars. We find out where in the house the client would like to set up what we call base camp. That's where our camera monitors are going to be, where we're going to put our equipment cases, and be our little designated hub for the investigation in the home. Then we discuss travel plans with the team. And the one thing we always ask the client is, do they want us to wear our team shirts, which I have on right now that you saw with our logo? Or do they want us to just come in street clothes? Maybe they don't want the neighbors or anyone around to know what's going on. And we also, some of us have Georgia Paranormal Investigations magnets on our car with a QR code to our website. So it's great advertising when you're sitting in traffic and people look over and see our magnets and get this weird look on their face, and then they scan the QR code and go right to our website. I love watching people look at my magnet. But it's just very important that we need to know if we need to be incognito for a home investigation. So the morning of the investigation, which are usually on Saturday evenings, no, ghosts don't always just haunt at night. It's just Saturday nights. Usually everyone on the team is off work. We're off on Sundays so we can sleep in because we're going to be out very late at night. And that's why it's usually on Saturday nights. But ghosts can haunt day, night, or any day of the week. So that morning, we'll collect the atmospheric data for that day, solar lunar phases, weather, geomagnetic activity, solar X-ray activity, barometric pressure, humidity, and temperature. Is there a geomagnetic storm that's shooting energy towards the Earth? We want to know because we're looking for patterns in these things, that if we have phenomena happen like every time that there's high solar X-ray activity, is there a reason for that? barometric pressure and humidity we'll get into a little bit later. Then we'll arrive at the location together. Um, Everyone has to be together and present before we go to the door. And everyone's making observations outside the site. We're looking at the condition of the home, excess power lines, train tracks, lakes, streams, cemetery. Um, Train tracks with active trains can create kinetic energy. We're looking to see if perhaps that has any impact. We had an investigation once that the building was so close to the train tracks and they kept going by all evening, the trains, but we got tons of EVPs that night. So we find that very interesting. Lakes and streams are water. Water conducts energy. They also, streams are moving, which is energy. Cemeteries, well, that's kind of self-explanatory. If you got a cemetery in your backyard, maybe you're getting visitors. We've seen that before. Also, how close the neighbors are. Let's say a client is saying that they're hearing voices in the house, etc. We'll try to see if it's possible that they're just overhearing a neighbor's loud television or something like that. It's just something that we have to take note of. So, the investigation process, once we get there, the case manager and the team leader will go in and greet the client. Everyone will introduce themselves. But the case manager and team leader, and I'm usually, the team leader, we do a walkthrough of the property with the client. And the client's going to point out where things that have happened to them happen. As they say, they see a shadow figure walking through the hallway. They'll show us the hallway, etc. If they have lights blinking on and off, they show us the lights. So we do that walkthrough with the client and then sign any remaining paperwork. But usually they have everything signed through email, but some people have a problem sometimes doing that. So we'll just take the paperwork with us. And while we're doing that, the rest of the team is unpacking the equipment and putting it at the base camp location that the client previously has told us we can use. Sometimes, if it's cool enough, we like to use the garage, a basement. We like to kind of be out of the way of the activity. Now, this is something that we choose to do. Not a lot of teams do this, but we find it's really helpful for our process that we've developed. We have the client leave the property. Everyone who lives in the house leaves if possible. We prefer it if you can, and all pets removed from the home. We have very sensitive equipment, and if we have a cat, in the bathroom scratching at the door, our audio is going to pick it up, and it'd just be impossible to review audio when you've got pets in the background. One investigation I went to, the lady had birds in cages everywhere. It was a nightmare. It was just useless. We couldn't hear anything but birds chirping all night long. So pets removed is a big thing for us. Also, we don't want to have to worry about pets running out the door while we're going in and out, maybe to look at things outside, check around the home for certain things. So that's what we like to have done, and most people understand and will do that. The next thing we do is called a sensitive walkthrough, and we're lucky enough on our team to have some people with really great abilities, some more psychic, some more mediumistic. So they will walk through the house with a notepad and pick up on any possible hot spots. If they're picking up a sensation or let's say a psychic impression in a certain location, they're going to write that down and then come to me. I'll look over it, and then we'll set up specific equipment in those locations that they've spotted just to cover our bases, because sometimes those energy feelings through a walkthrough are very, very important and really work out for us. So the next thing is setting up equipment. We have a ton of equipment, as you will see. The main equipment is our DVR camera system, which is 8 cameras. So we'll set those up first. Camera equipment is priority on an investigation to get the camera equipment up first. And the next will set up all the other equipment, the static detectors, the EMF detectors, the interactive equipment. So that's all done. And we're trying a new concept, which is working out great. When we get to a location, we bring folding tables, we unpack all of our equipment and place it on the tables. And then we can pick and pull what we need to go in different rooms because we like to have equipment in every room that picks up either static or EMF or barometric pressure and humidity. So we like every room to have, well, every active room with reported activity, we like to have a piece of equipment that represents all those energy theories in those rooms. So next, two team members who have been assigned will do what we call baseline readings. They're taking readings for EMF, electromagnetic fields, carbon monoxide. But if the client already has carbon monoxide detectors, we don't check for it. We just ask them if their carbon monoxide detectors are in working order, then we don't take that reading. We take the temperature reading in every room, ambient radiation, and humidity. Next, once all that's done, we have a safety briefing to the team. Let's say if one of the bedrooms has clothes on the floor or something like that, and then once we turn the lights out, it could be a hazard. So we try to look for anything that could be dangerous once the lights go out, and we have a safety briefing about that. I mean, you'd be amazed at how people have their homes when they know people are coming over. There'll be things everywhere. It's just astonishing. So here are our baseline reading forms. On the left, it has the pertinent information, the client's name, location, all those things, members of the team who are present. Then down below, we have the weather conditions. We'll have the astrological conditions. All those are listed at the time of the investigation. Below that is this townhouse? Is it standalone house? A type of business? We put all those things down. Physical condition of the location. Is it run down, cluttered? A cluttered home with chaotic atmosphere, like clothes everywhere, dirty. Family environment can play a huge part on the energy that's created in a home, and it may play a part in the activity. So, just looking around a home when we get there, looking at the books that they read, photographs on the walls, the condition of the home, a lot of these things can add to the knowledge that we need to put this puzzle together. I mean, if they've got, books on witches and warlocks and all those things on their shelves, we like to take notice of that. It can be a little red flag. So, the baseline reading and walkthrough, the two team members will go through every room in the house and label it and then put those readings down: temperature, EMF, CO2, or radiation. Now, there are safe levels of radiation that are all around us all the time. But data has been shown by other paranormal investigating teams that when a paranormal anomaly happens, there can be giant, quick shoots up of radiation on the radiation detector. And that happened to us on our last investigation. I believe Wendy had the radiation meter and some of our equipment lit up. And I think at the same time, we got an EVP. So there was a huge radiation spike. So I find that very interesting. Now, are the spirits creating radiation when they come through, or we're just trying to keep track of these things and see if there are patterns at other locations? So the baseline data, that's useful tools by which to measure anomalous readings and to establish the environmental norms of a location to be. I mean, what's the baseline EMF of a room? Long-term exposure to EMF can be very dangerous and harmful for your health. A lot of people don't realize this. It also can create things that may appear to be paranormal that are actually not. Hallucinations, depression, nausea, different things high EMF can do. And a lot of people have high EMF around the heads of their bed where they have their cell phones plugged in, alarm clocks, heaters. Space heaters are the absolute worst for creating high EMF. Analog clocks, the old clock radios, are, you may as well just be sleeping under a power station because they're horrible. So if you have any of those, anybody that's here, in the group, take all that stuff away from the head of your bed. It's just not healthy. So, everyone here knows intention is everything. So when we get all set up, our equipment's ready to go, we're ready to start our investigation process. We have an opening introduction statement to the property, to the spirits, or whatever may be there. This is what we tell them when we start.
This message goes out to the spirits and other souls that occupy this place. We ask your permission to enter, and we want you to know that we have come as friends for the sole purpose of meeting with you tonight. We come here with respect for this place and for its inhabitants, and we mean you no harm. We are here to seek communication with the positive energies inhabiting this space. We wish to know who you are and to understand why you are here. We will respect and listen to your wishes and ask that you do the same for us. We ask that if you desire to communicate through our senses, including our psychic abilities, that you do so without inflicting physical, emotional, or spiritual harm. We have brought equipment that you can use to show us your presence and use to communicate with us without causing harm to us. We are here for only a few hours, and we ask for your patience and cooperation while we try to make contact with you. We will try to assist anyone that occupies this place for the greater good of all concerned. So be it. So it is.
So that pretty much sets the scene for our investigation. Lets them know why we're there, what we're doing. Let's say if you're a spirit and you're in what you believe is still your home, that you still own it, and these people barge in asking you to touch this, do that, talk to us. What are you going to do? You're going to be quiet. So that lets them know what we're there for, and we're not there for any harmful reasons. So the first thing is we are not there to prove a location is haunted. We are there to collect data, evidence that may or may not support the reported activity as paranormal. So let's say a client, their claims are the kitchen cabinet doors open by themselves. We'll go into the kitchen, we'll bounce up and down, we'll see if, does a large truck go down the road and vibrate and make the cabinets come open? We're trying to debunk those claims, first of all. And once we've gone through their claims, then we'll start the investigating. But if they're having electrical issues like lights flashing on and off, things like that, we cannot debunk that unless they get an electrician out and check out their wiring, and we tell them that we can't list this as paranormal because we're not electricians. And we've had a case a few years ago that this was a big, beautiful house. She had two giant, enormous islands in her kitchen, and there were two huge chandeliers over each island, and they would all flash off and on at different times together. And I said, I'm not an electrician. The only way you can find out is to get one out here. And she said, this house is a year old. It better not have bad wiring. And I said, something could have come loose. I mean, who knows? I'm not, like I say, I'm not an electrician. So she got one out there, and he said, there's nothing wrong. These chandeliers are even on two separate breaker boxes. And he told her the only thing that could be causing this would be a ghost, and started laughing. So she said, okay, we must have a ghost. I said, well, we'll find out. But, that's part of our debunking process. So, investigation techniques. We introduce ourselves to the spirits. We explain our intentions. We explain and demonstrate equipment. If you've got a spirit from the 1800s and you're asking them to touch a REM pod, they have no clue what a REM pod is, or they may not even know about things lighting up. It could be frightening to them. So we demonstrate equipment, we tell them what it is, what it does, and that these are ways for you to communicate with us. So it's very important that you lay it all out on the lines and touch things so they can see that it doesn't hurt you. And as far as we know, anything that we use isn't harmful to a spirit. We develop and conduct experiments that relate to the reported activity and use corresponding equipment. So let's say there's a Civil War soldier reported in a location. We will bring things that may relate to the Civil War. We're not going to bring a baby doll as a trigger object when there's a Civil War soldier that's been reported. So we're going to do things that would relate to the activity that the clients are saying that they're having. Reenactments, that's something we don't do a lot, but we will role play. We wear sometimes costumes. I have worn a Civil War costume that didn't turn out too well for me. We can talk about that later. Trigger objects, music can be used to elicit activity. We've played taps on Civil War battlegrounds, and that's gotten us activity. Um, or we'll use things like I have a soundtrack to a battle with cannons and guns firing. We'll sometimes play those. Those are for historic sites. We're not really going to do that in someone's home, but it's part of our techniques. We do EVP sessions a lot, call and response sessions, spirit box sessions. Not sure if y'all know what spirit boxes are, but we'll learn about that in a bit. We have a standard list of 14 questions, EVP questions, that we ask at every location. And some of those have control questions like, do you know where Elvis is? We're trying to see what responses we get standard wise at all investigations. A call and response is we will say, if you're here, can you knock on the wall? Can you please knock 3 times? Because scientifically, 1 knock means nothing. 2 knocks is a coincidence. 3 knocks is a pattern. And we're looking for intelligence and patterns when we're investigating. We can't say that that 1 knock was paranormal. We monitor the environmental detection equipment and compare those to the baseline readings. Are there giant spikes in EMF when other pieces of equipment are reacting? So those baseline readings help us see when something anomalous happens. So we have the client return for the second half of the investigation, and then we repeat the same experiments with the client. We'll have them ask the same EVP questions or any other questions that they have that they would like to ask, and then we will see and review if they get answers. We're looking to see if what's going on is related to the clients or is it related to the environment and the home itself. Could be that the clients are self-manifesting some of the phenomena, so it wouldn't happen unless that they're there in the house. So this is the reason why we like to have them gone and then come back. Then we'll end the investigation, pack and inventory equipment. We'll property check if we've moved chairs or things out of the way. We put everything back in its place. I mean, we've even swept up and vacuumed before. We want to leave the place clean and looking like it was when we got there. I mean, if it's clothes all over the floor, we're not going to hang them up for them, but we want to put it back like it was when we arrived. Then we leave. So, evidence review. Our cameras, we have 8 cameras, as I said. I will upload all the video to a Google Dropbox, and everyone chooses a camera 1 through 8 to review. We have EVP log forms that people can write down anything evidence wise that they get. They can write it on the log. And then once everyone's finished, it takes a lot of time to review everything. But once everyone gets everything reviewed, they'll send me their mini report with any evidence that they have found. And then I will go through and pull out those videos where they say they hear something or see something. And I cut those down and compile an evidence video that the client receives. So once everyone's done all their review, send me their mini reports, we have a team case discussion. What do you think's going on? What do you think about this data? What do you think about that? Um, and then we compile the final report, and our reports are quite extensive. We include all the research data we've done on the property. If we found that a former resident of that property has passed and their obituary, we include everything in the final reports. And then we will email that report to the client and the evidence video. Then if they have any questions or want to go over it with us, then we'll schedule another Zoom meeting and discuss everything. So once we're packed up and ready to go, before we get into the cars to leave, we have our closing statement. We do not want anything following us home, which has happened. It's happened to a lot of us, where we get banging on the walls for a few days and odd things going on. I usually just tell them they got to leave, that I don't have time for it. But this is what we say when we leave.
The time has come when we must leave you. We would like to thank the spirits and energies that have communicated with us and allowed us to access this place in peace and harmony. Remember that you can leave here at any time, or you may stay as you are. It is your choice, as we respect your right to be where you want to be. We ask that you respect us by not attaching your energy to our energy fields, nor attempt to accompany us as we leave this place. According to universal law, you are not allowed to follow us home if we do not want you to, and we state that you may not come with us. Once again, our intention was to learn to communicate and harm no one. We thank you for your help and patience in our research, and we bid you farewell as we leave this place. May you be at peace. So be it, so it is.
And so far, since we've been using this, it has worked.
The time has come.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about some of our equipment. We're not going to talk about all of it because we would be here till late this evening. But this is Jerry, our team member's car, with all my equipment packed in it because it will not all fit in my Honda CRV. So we use her car. But that's what we look like when we're heading out to an investigation. And that doesn't include the team members' own personal equipment. This is just what I have to lug around. So on the left is a carbon monoxide detector. Like I said, if they already have those installed, we don't check for that, but we always carry one just in case, because carbon monoxide can be quite poisonous. This is our radiation meter. We always like to check to see if there are any spikes in radiation because we find that as a very fascinating piece of evidence when we have a paranormal occurrence if there's a giant spike. And the other piece of equipment we use for baseline readings, it's called a mel meter. They come with a lot of different pieces of equipment on there, but the main thing we use it for is for temperature and EMF readings. Now, there's a great story behind the invention of the mel meter. It's developed by a man named Gary Galka. He had a daughter who passed away that he wanted to try to communicate with, and her name was Melissa. And he invented this. He was some type of electrical engineer. So that's why it's called the mel meter. You could read about his story online if you Google his name or the mel meter. So Most of our evidence is audio. We do get some visual pieces of evidence, rarely of something moving, but our camera system is our greatest piece of equipment. Our DVR system is 4K. We have 8 cameras, like I said, and each one records audio. That's the monitor in the middle that shows the cameras working. And then once the lights goes out, it all goes to night vision so it can see everything in the dark. Most team members do wear body cameras. We like to turn those on when we're getting out of the car, and we don't turn them off until we get in the car. Because believe it or not, spirits sometimes do not want to be recorded, and they actually know when our DVR system is packed up. It's fascinating. So if anything's going to happen, we want to make sure it's captured on some type of camera. We've had a lot of things happen, even with our body cameras turned off, which we didn't capture. And a lot of times, spirits turn off our body cameras, which is quite annoying. I had mine on at an investigation. You got everything outside the house. Go inside the house, it was all blank. So, these things happen. So, these are some EVPs captured by our DVR system. Now, in the paranormal world, an EVP, electronic voice phenomena, are voices or other sounds. I mean, we've gotten gunshot sounds before, are recorded on audio that we do not hear with our own ears. They are below the human hearing range and below the human speech range or hertz. And usually that's EVPs are normally below 20 hertz, I believe, and we can't hear anything that low. There are 3 types of classes of EVPs. Class A means anyone who hears it understands what it says. Class B, definitely a voice, but people can't agree exactly on what it says. And Class C is there's a voice there, but no one can understand what it says. Now, these are different than disembodied voices. That's a voice that we can hear with our own ears, but it may or may not be captured on audio. Some parapsychologists think that these disembodied voices are actually being sent to us mentally through telepathy, but I've heard disembodied voices, and I don't really agree with that because they have often sounded like coming from another room, and then I had one actually whisper in my ear that was quite startling. Um, EVPs can be analyzed on a spectrograph program, and I believe it's Audacity, which is a free audio program where you can graph out the audio and you will see where the humans are speaking, and then you will see where the EVPs are, and you can see what hertz that it's actually recorded at. So there's no explaining what that voice is if it's below the hertz range for human hearing. Now, the first EVP you're going to hear is recorded at the Lotes house in Franklin, Tennessee. This is the house that was smack dab in the middle of one of the bloodiest Civil War battles that there were. Around 9,000 people died all around this house, and it was used as a field hospital. It's now a museum that you can tour. And I mean, if anyone is ever near Nashville or Franklin, that you must go and ask for Thomas or Chuck. Um, so Mr. Lotz was a German immigrant, and we were always asking him questions in German. We've been to this location 3 times. It's kind of like a home away from home for our paranormal research. So you'll hear the response that he gives us. Also, one of the EVPs is in the children's bedroom. Mr. and Miss Lotz had 2 very small children. It's not sure if they were 3 to 5 years old. The history is not very clear, but both of the children died at the same time. So you're going to hear some EVPs in the children's room. And then the last clip is a museum and archives building. It's a huge building that's about, I think, an hour and a half, 2 hours from Atlanta, south of Atlanta, southwest. And it was originally built as a bank and office building in 1901. But we found that before the bank was built, a house was on that site previously where an 8-year-old boy had passed, and he is buried in the local cemetery. So now you may want to turn your sound up a little bit, but I'm going to play these for you.
Can you make them light up again? Were you going after the teddy bear?
Okay, that's just a small sample of EVPs that we get. If you would like to see a lot more from our investigations, you can go to our YouTube channel, Georgia Paranormal Investigations, and we have a lot on there. Now, we don't label what we think they say on those videos. We let everyone try to decide for themselves what they're hearing. We don't have a lot of private home residential videos on there because of privacy reasons, but if you like these, you'll really love what else is on there. So here's one of our main pieces of equipment. It's EDI Plus Environmental Detection Instrument. It records EMF, temperature, barometric pressure, humidity, and vibration. Now, barometric pressure is something that we're noting because we have found that sometimes when there's a paranormal anomaly, the barometric pressure was changed. And this happened to me several years ago. I was at a location and my ears popped like I was going in and up in an airplane. I mean, they just popped. And then I had a whisper in my ear and I was completely startled. And on the audio, the whisper was "help me" because I didn't hear "help me." I just heard someone whispering in my ear. So barometric pressure is something that we like to keep track of. Of course, humidity, moisture in the air, moisture, water is an energy conductor. Vibration we don't use as much, but if someone says they hear footsteps or in a hallway, we can put this down and see if it picks up any vibration. But that one's a little bit tricky. If, let's say, if the furnace or an air conditioning unit comes on, it can make this thing detect. Also, this has an SD card. It records everything, and you can download it to a program on the computer, and it will graph out all the activity from the time it's been turned on. So this is something we really like to use. Here's another fun piece of equipment that's really new. It's a couple years old that someone invented. It's an EMF tripwire. It's versatile, mobile. Each of those purple lights that you see are micro EMF processors, picks up EMF. The ones we have are 36 feet long with 12 EMF sensors spaced 3 feet apart. And the different color changes mean the different milligauss of EMF that's being emitted. Now we can put these on a handrail going up a staircase, and if there's something with an energy form that walking down the staircase, that these will light up in sequence. And we really have had some really good results with this. They're also great for putting in hallways, a long hallway. But this is something we really enjoy using. Thermal imaging camera. This is a fun piece of equipment. Thermal imaging camera works by detecting the heat emitted from an object by converting it into an electronic signal and photo. And it's a live photo, so you can see Tiffany there, how she looks with her heat signatures. And the top left is a teddy bear that I touched. I put my hand on the top of the teddy bear, and the yellow is the heat signature that my hand left. So if there's anything in the dark that's creating a heat signature that's just shouldn't be there or is shaped as a person, which I've seen, this is a great piece of equipment to detect it. REM pods, radiating electromagnetic field. This antenna emits its own radioactive field. So anything that comes in contact with the antenna breaks that field, and the lights at the bottom light up. And just like the tripwire, the stronger the EMF is, the closer it gets to the antenna, the colored lights change to show the amount of EMF. This is something that we use a lot, and we tell the spirits about it. You can touch it; it's not going to hurt you, and they can communicate with us through this a lot of times. Trigger object sensor. So we're trying to see if any certain objects related that coincide with a possible haunting, like if there's a child spirit, we'll bring a doll or a teddy bear, and this device connects to it. And if anything touches the trigger object, it will light up and has a very loud beep. So we at this picture here, there was a little girl there that would communicate with us when we'd ask her to touch it. It was very cute. Other trigger objects may be a cigar, fake Civil War money. We've used little bottles of whiskey, different things like that, which are placed on the tray, and if anything touches it, they will light up. So the laser grid, this is a fun one. It helps detect any movement or if anything with mass of any kind walks through the laser grid, it will show it. It was the lines in the grid do not move unless something disrupts it. So we like to put these in rooms, and if something moves, it's just much easier to see it when we're reviewing the cameras. Natural tri-field meter. This is a very good piece of equipment. It detects changes in very weak static fields or natural electromagnetic fields. We don't know. This is an experiment in the center and to the right that we've developed. We don't know if spirits can see color, can read numbers or shapes. So we've devised this experiment where we have 5 cards, each numbered with a different shape and different color, and we'll place equipment on each one of those and say things like, can you touch number 2, the green square, if you're able to, or can you touch the yellow X number 5? So this is something that we've been experimenting with. Also the same with yes and no, which those are pretty obvious. We'll put equipment by those, the red circle no, the green circle yes, for them to answer questions by. Here are some non-tech, old-timey investigating techniques. If anyone is familiar with Harry Price from the 1900s, he's our godfather of paranormal investigating, and I'm always asking for him to be a spirit guide, but I haven't gotten a reply yet. But you can use a compass, because if there's a change in the magnetic field, which is often an occurrence when there's a paranormal occurrence, the electromagnetic field changes, the compass will spin. It's also a theory that spirits create a static field when they manifest. So styrofoam cups, we can line those up, and if there's anything with static going by, it can disturb the placement of the cups. Just regular old bells, hanging strings of bells that we sometimes use. Also, if you want to see if a trigger object moves and you don't want to have it something with batteries, you can place powder. You can do this on a tray. I just did this on my dining room table for the photo, so it was really fun to clean up. But you can place an object in the powder and then come back and check for any tracks in the powder to see if the object has moved. But these are some things you can do without batteries. So now we're going to get into some of the fun stuff. Spirit boxes are ghost boxes. This is what we call these pieces of equipment. These are radios designed to sweep the frequencies extremely fast, so fast that you shouldn't hear any words. It's more a static that you're going to hear. It can, the S box on the left, it can sweep anywhere from 100 milliseconds up to 500 milliseconds. That's really fast. And the theory is that the spirits can manipulate the frequencies and the millisecond sound bite coming from the radio to create words. Now, these are AM and FM radios. They've just been made to sweep constantly. And on the far right is just a collection of some of mine. There are a lot of old radios, a lot of old Radio Shack radios that are called shack hacks that could be altered to do this. And I just have a collection of those because it's just an interesting thing to collect in the paranormal world. But spirit box evidence is considered experimental and subjective. It's not presented to the client as factual evidence because it's very subjective, because one person may hear one thing, another person may hear another thing. So you're going to hear some spirit box responses here. The first one with the S box, and the second one with the Radio Shack hack that I have. So turn your sound back up.
Philip,
Uh-huh. Yes.
so the fact that we've reached the top of the hour
Uh-huh.
and some people will be leaving. So
Okay.
we'll just say goodbye to them. And of course, those of you who'd like to stay, we've got another hour here for people who'd like to stay, and hopefully we'll be able to do some discussion then. But
Sounds
those
good.
of you who are leaving, thank you very much for being here.
Hmm.
And we hope to see you next week. We're actually going to be doing more work on EVP and ITC. And Daniel Drayson is going to be leading that next week. So we'll see you next week. Sorry, Philip, I just needed
It's
to
all
do
right. I
that.
told you there's a lot to cover.
There's a lot to cover, absolutely, but it's fascinating material. And I mean, the thing that occurs to me is this is very useful in terms of physical mediumship as well.
Yes.
So thank you, Phil. Keep going now. Can we hear those ghost box things?
All right, here you go.
What is your name? You want us to leave?
Did you say Drew?
To connect it at this house to the water brand of the group. We need help from those in here that was killed by a gun. Sandra. That was plain as day.
I heard that, yes.
Sandra. Did you not know what you were doing? Yes, you didn't know what you were doing. Why did you do it? Grief.
So that's what spirit boxes do. But you notice all the static that's coming from the spirit box is quite annoying. So these are spirit box enhancers. On the left, you will see the radio is connected to a mini guitar pedal that is a noise reducing pedal. That's connected to the blue pedal, which is the flashback pedal, which scrambles anything coming out of the radio. So you should not hear anything but gibberish. Nothing should be clear unless it's the spirit manipulating it. And the red petal is an echo added to help draw out the response. But these are three different types that I have. The one in the middle is extremely heavy, and I don't carry it around on investigations a lot, mostly the one on the right. But here are some of the responses using the spirit box with the enhancers. My name's Phillip. Do any of you know me? Yeah. Hi, how are you? Y'all know what the rules are? Good night. Are you gone? Have you left us? Did you say my name?
I did. Yep.
I'm here. I'm listening.
Who's here?
It sounded like a child.
What your name is, please?
That's a child.
Go. Paul. Go with Paul. He, he, he will take you. Yes, listen to me. Go with him. Thank you, Paul. Paul?
Paul,
Yeah. Thank you.
that was clear as day.
So Paul is someone I call on when I want to help a spirit move on. I call him an angel. He could possibly be a guide. Um, but to me, I call him an angel, and he always shows up when someone needs to find their way and cross over, and he always confirms that he's there with me, and it's just wonderful to have it validated, as you heard him say. Types of hauntings. We'll go through this quickly since I'm going to be keeping everyone here. This is what we're looking to find on an investigation is an intelligent haunting, the soul of a deceased person or animal that continues to exist in some form on the earthly plane, an aware ghost or spirit that interacts with its environment. We call this an intelligent haunting or an interactive haunting. This is the main type of haunting we're looking for. All right, just a quick little graph that I came up with to try to show you where we think the spirits are. I know a lot of mediums think when you take your last breath, you immediately go to the highest spiritual plane, the highest vibrational plane. That's not what we have found, and this has been my experience. But the earth plane is where we're all now. It's where we're in our bodies. Then once a person, takes their last breath, leaves their body, we think they go into this kind of intermediate plane, the astral plane. They have free will. They're not choosing to go to that light. This is not a high vibrational plane. That's how they're still interacting with us, moving objects, asking for help, calling for help, saying bad words, calling us bad words through the spirit box. We've heard it all. And then there's the spiritual, the highest level of vibration, spiritual world, the light, as we call it. This is what we do when we're doing spirit rescue. We're trying to get them from that middle plane to that higher plane. So why are they here? Spirit may have died a traumatic death, murder, car accident, unfinished business. They're just angry, died suddenly, doesn't realize they're actually dead. Loved ones emotionally distraught and can't let go. Can't rest due to an injustice, confusion, mental illness, guilt or remorse, or fear of the other side and fear of judgment. Those are the reasons why we think that they're still here. On the left is a photograph our member Derek took at an investigation when we were investigating a prison in the Tennessee mountains, and that picture is unexplainable. He took several pictures, and it only showed up in one. I'm going to run through these quickly. Residual haunting is an imprint of a person, animal, or event in time, a place memory like a video clip that keeps repeating itself. It never changes, never interacts. It is not intelligent. It is just an image that is somehow trapped in the environment. That picture on the left, I took. I was taking pictures of the Lotes house, and that showed up in one of them. And I think it's the woman they call the Lady in Black. Poltergeist. The term is derived from two German words, poltern and Geist, which translates to noisy ghosts. But poltergeists are not actually ghosts. Everyone thinks that poltergeists are ghosts, but they're not. Recurring spontaneous psychokinesis, or RSPK, the emotions of troubled individuals whose built up stress unconsciously projects outward in the form of mental energy, which affects the physical environment, producing phenomena. The person causing the activity is called the agent. So if you can figure out who the agent is in the house, who's causing this, a lot of times, therapy or something like that is going to help calm them. This is one of the most difficult cases to try to investigate, because usually the phenomena is so fast and so quick and is over before a paranormal team can even get there. But that's not all the time. There have been cases that have gone on for quite a long time. And phenomena can be everything from knocks, raps, things flying across the room, spontaneous fires occurring in the home. So the activity from RSPK can be very intense and varied, but these are very rare. Shadow people, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Everyone can go back and look at the video. They're inky black humanoid entities, move fast, seen out of the corners of the eyes, interpreted as a ghost, demon, alien, or time travel, or interdimensional beings. They all have very similar traits, and this is a very common type of haunting that people have encountered, are shadow people. But the theories are it's a human ghost unable to manifest, are non-human entities with their own subclassifications that may be interdimensional, usually perceived as evil, but not necessarily true. These are the different classifications that you guys can go back and look. Elementals, spirits of nature, guardians of sacred natural sites, waterfalls, rivers, lakes, old trees, often referred to as fairies, trolls, and gnomes. Now, that picture in the left is a black mass coming out of a ceiling at an investigation, and you can see me there. And I was totally oblivious to it because I was sitting in the dark, and the other teammates were taking photos, and that thing actually got a lot larger. And I'm so glad I wasn't aware of it, because I would have been out of there in 2 seconds. Tulpas. These are interesting, thought-formed entities, thoughts that come alive if given enough focus and thought. We can create real sentient beings. Some say tulpas only exist in the mind. Others say they can separate from the host, physically manifest, think on their own, and develop their own personality. Unlike imaginary friends, they cannot be controlled. And another word for tulpa is egregore, if you ever hear that term. The Slender Man is a very popular cult tulpa. I suggest that you research him and the two teenage girls that lured their best friend out into the woods and stabbed her 19 times to appease Slender Man. Luckily, the little girl survived. Attachment. A spirit will attach itself to a person and feed off their energy. Symptoms of an attachment: lack of energy due to the point of becoming weak, mood swings, and change in personality. Possession. A spirit or entity breaches your free will and takes over your mind and body. Now, that is not to be confused with channeling. That is not a breach of your free will. Haunted objects. A spirit attached to an object. Number 10, ectoplasm or white mist. Sometimes white mists have been videoed going through a room and disappearing. So we just label that as white mist. But that's it. Thank you very much. Visit our Facebook page, our website, and if you want to see more videos, just go to our YouTube channel.